Ning. Hey, let's go Ning, yeah? Ning's really cool. Let's go Ning. No S3 kill. Don't need it. Waste of time. Waste of time. Wait, what the heck? Wait, this team's so slow. And no sort of, okay, let's just do this. But it's so cool. It takes too long. Takes too long. Okay, got defense breaks. Okay, I should be able to hit the Destina here. Do a bit of chip damage. She deserves a free pass this time because I'm one tap T Pavel strays. Oh, wait. I get the turn, right? Uh-oh! Wait, am I dead? Am I dead? No, wait, right? I think Vilja gets the turn. I'm supposed to cut no matter what here. Okay, we just do this. Okay, cool. Cool. I didn't know evasion? Yeah, that's a good point. It looks like she didn't evade twice. Okay, free flag. Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. It's been ages since I've done a review on a hero and do like a little showcase video. Just not had the time, but generally I've been saving it for like a hero I just like really want to use and, you know, want to talk about. And for whatever reason, no, I'm not a K-pop fan, but whatever reason, I think that ae-NINGNING really kind of, you know, I just like her simplicity. And then therefore I wanted to make this showcase. Anyways, what you're about to watch is a arena showcase for this season, or Triumph season, that literally just ended tonight as I'm making this recording. I think I ended up in top 30, and the entire season has been pretty chill, but she made like the last week of the arena like really fun, just because like SC ROL is in almost every defense. You'll see my my team comp, which is really not that special, but I'll commentate on it. Before we get into the video though, like get into the actual fights, I definitely want to thank my Patreon supporters. I usually do this at the end, but I really do want to thank them from the bottom of my heart, because I haven't really been outputting like videos, like a lot of real life stuff going on. If you follow me on Twitch and stuff, you probably hear about that. But Deekboy, Kariha, Stone Thunder, Torrenby, Potatoes, Light Neo, thank you guys for continuing supporting me on Patreon. I really do appreciate it, guys. Anyways, I won't be plugging the Patreon. I just don't feel like I deserve it, but I do really thank those guys. Anyways, as we go into the fights, I'll commentate as I usually do. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Alright guys, so most of these fights are going to be sort of one-dimensional. It will be Lilius as the strip, vigor buffer, and pushback, and Flan to support with the defense break pushback, and then Ning to support in that bridge category in terms of pushing up my DPS. In this fight, I got kind of unlucky. You saw there I didn't push back to Dizzy, and her dual attack actually pulled Landy. Landy boosted up, and here another resist, and she doesn't get pushed back. But thankfully the Landy was like a bruiser Landy, so the damage wasn't super high, plus I had an attack down, so my Vilja actually didn't die, so this made it to the final footage. So the Landy here is on Guiding Light, but we do have 2 barriers left on Destina and the FCC still, so no matter what I can get another turn with her CR boost. And it actually stripped the Landy's Guiding Light, so it's very nice to have. I remember actually running into World Arena where someone brought a Ning against my Landy as well, and I totally forgot Ning has that strip function. So this is something that I'll say near the end of the video as well, when I'm showing the stats and going over her kit and why I like her. But it's just that you know, I think clearly she's made to counter SCROL. Like you can see, like say like DJB does it, like their barrier inversion and stuff, but she also brings a strip, right? So if you strip ROL's escort buff, she has no source of damage mitigation unless she's holding adamant shield. So like it's very kind of, to me at least, it's kind of clear like the devs are like, okay, SCROL needs some kind of counter, maybe not fully direct counter, but let's give like one of these characters, one of these units, something to deal with ROL, and I think that Ningning was the answer, and I think they did a good job in doing it. You see that barrier inversion doing a ton to the ae-NING there, very nice. So like with like how barriers work, right? Barrier inversion is just very disgusting, especially on low HP heroes, but high barrier support, right? So you basically eat through a larger ratio of the HP bar itself. Like in this fight, for example, this ae-NING, I have a hard time actually figuring out, is it ae-NING, Adin, Adin? Either way, let's say ae-NING for now. This ae-NING has a higher HP or the barrier is lower, right? So in the previous fight, it did like 50% almost of her HP. So as I was using Ningning, I ran into various forms, but it didn't really matter. The barrier inversion was just good. It was just that extra touch, because like the fact is, with the barrier on, let's say a barrier costs like 2000 HP, right? You still have to go through the maximum HP. So if ROL has 20,000 HP and has a 2k barrier, to get to that damage, you need to eat through like 4,000 like HP. But the barrier inversion takes away that 4,000 equivalent HP, and you can just do the raw damage on it. So it's like this cleave ended up being one of my bread and butter, especially near the end of the season, the Triumph season that just ended. The beginning of the video, when you saw me in my Santa getup, that was the last day of Triumph season, and I think I did make top 30. The season itself, I feel like it was pretty easy, just cleave. This was one of my favorite cleaves. Now, before Ningning, I was using Amelia to cut through this type of team. So in terms of, I had to land a defense break, my BBK would, you know, sometimes soul burn if there's no Bellion. If there is Bellion, I don't soul burn, obviously, but I would hope that they defense break so I could kill. But with Ningning's barrier inversion, sometimes you don't even need a defense break, and your 2-turn kill can kill like multiple targets, right? So BBK, kill, get an extra turn, you can kill like one vital one, like a reviver or something. And in Vildred's case, that extra attack will go through, because most likely you're gonna land a defense break or two, and you're gonna kill because the barrier inversion takes out so much EHP. In this fight, I did get kind of unlucky. I didn't commentate on it while it was happening, but you know, I went straight as a stress test into green Selene. The highest damage hit my BBK, so the BBK had the highest damage modifiers and speed buff, if you know how BBK's passive works. It didn't even need a defense break in that previous fight, right? So that was a decent showcase there. This one had like a Destina, Senya, like ROL, like, you know, you name it, there's shoes in between. ae-NING is kind of like a anti-Ran deterrent, if anything, I guess, along with Senya. And so Ran cleaving for me was not a thing I ended up doing this season at all. It was either like green Pavel with a book holder, a speed imprint like Watch Ashiri, into C Pavel or something like that. And if there's a Bellion, then, you know, I probably cleave like this. But either way, there's nothing is like a perfect defense team unless you just have some weird tech going behind it. This ae-NING actually survived with 1 HP, like literally 1. But it didn't matter. It was just a little stall of time, but it didn't really matter. As you can see, it's just this team is just so brutal. My Ningning here outsped my Flan. I did during these fights. There was a couple times where I kind of like rebuilt Ningning, prioritized her like speed versus effectiveness, and then vice versa. And then this one was a lower effectiveness variant, but a faster build, and it did mess up my speed tuning, but it's still really good, as you can see here. At this point I hadn't molded Ningning's as 3 max, so that's why she didn't get the turn and Flan actually got the turn. So the speed tuning actually worked out in the end, but otherwise If the S3 was max, Ning would get the second turn, and then I would have lost value because I would have pushed my damage dealer up. And then may not get the defense break. But yeah, overall, like, this cleave was so clean. I can still imagine that as long as ROL and like Aiden and other light elemental are on defense like this, like Ning will take advantage. I don't know how long this will last, especially if I release this video or other people are doing this tech, but like I run a similar defense. Like I run an ROL defense too, but I don't really see many people use Ning against this, so maybe it's not picked up yet, or maybe people don't think that Ning is worth, or it's just maybe a lack of people playing Arena in general. But in terms of like the amount of ROL on defense, especially this season, it was just like, oh, Ning's like a godsend. Smartgate definitely made it so that like it just makes this so much easier. And I'm pretty sure Smartgate just didn't want the meta to be the same, right? ROL on every single Arena defense. You know, if you're like a good RTA player, you could definitely draft Ning, of course, into a more aggressive type of draft. Ning lends to that kind of fight better than some kind of like DJB where you get a second, maybe a third turn. But yeah, I have seen like people style on ROL first pickers with Ning. So it's like she can work. You just kind of have to sneak her in. For a controllable fight like this, I mean, it's really easy. You just see me rinse and repeat the same thing. I'm doing all my Arena, like even now, yeah, after the season's over, still very easy. As long as there's a ROL, FCC, even people who want to go into protection set, you gotta fear Ning, in my opinion. I actually did run into someone with protection set green Armin, and then I had like other tech around it. But I ended up Ning cleaving it. I lost to it first time, and I ended up Ning cleaving it, and it punished the barriers. I think in terms of the time, this might be one of the last fights actually. Might be the actual last fight in this showcase, and then we'll be showing the builds. Yeah, this is the last fight for sure. But as you're watching this, and then not much commentary, but just like a lot of the not commentary in terms of the fight itself, but just in general, like her use case. Hopefully it's been educational. Alright, so here's my build for ae-NINGNING. Quickly walk through again. I think that her kit is simple. It's very straightforward. She's a very aggressive Soul Weaver, as in she doesn't have any healing. She doesn't have any protective elements like DN. DN is considered a very aggressive Soul Weaver, but DN even has anti-crit buff and barriers, so you could still protect, quote unquote. But in terms of ae-NINGNING, it doesn't have any type of healing, doesn't have any type of protection outside of maybe stunning, so to prevent yourself getting hit. But Doctor's Bag was put on here as like kind of like a in-between where it's kind of usable for every type of content. It was a good so that she has able to be cleansed and able to heal the team. But the issue with this is that, at least in the way I used her in Arena, it wasn't necessary. I could have actually just gone with like something like Warhorn and just, you know, solidified my kills. But again, I think when she was released, everybody was looking at her and being like, well, DJB has more sustain, and DJB can heal and can cleanse, and so therefore she wouldn't have a place. I think that ae-NINGNING's design was strictly to deal with ROL, whereas DJB's barrier inversion was to deal with anything else before ROL, right? Since the timeline lines up. But ae-NINGNING's barrier inversion with the dispelling of the 2 buffs, I think the idea was so that you get rid of the ROL escort buff, so that she has 0 damage mitigation. Whereas in DJB's case, when he was facing FCC, FCC would still have an Aureus, so the damage mitigation or the damage sharing would still be in effect. So I think her design is like legit, is like, oh, they saw ROL being used too much, then they needed to kind of lower the incentive for players to always draft ROL first pick or something like that. So they made her. I feel like that's the case. And then with her S2, S3, and then even the S1, it's just very aggressive, right? It's so with her, just like how I did in Arena Showcase, like you would want a whole team that would be able to support either her to support your damage dealers or have additional support for your damage dealers. And then that's the way she kind of works. So in my opinion, I think that her design in terms of the kit, not exactly visual, I'm not so sold on the visual design, but you know what, it's passable. But in terms of the kit and the skill set, I really like her a lot. I'm actually farming her friendship right now, gonna try to min-max this, do the -1 cooldown, and then potentially the +3, and most likely will do the +3, but if you're gonna bank on stunning, you're most likely gonna use a soul burn anyway for the 100%. So overall, like her a lot. And here's the gear. I actually put her on some of my B-Dom gear, since as you saw in the showcase, I was just outspeeding most Sea Lilius, at least with the Vildred imprint. And so I didn't really need Bunny Dom for any of the closing season for Arena, the Triumph season. I didn't really need B-Dom for that, so I kind of like lowered my B-Dom quality to just give her more stuff. I actually pulled another imprint. This was due largely due to Elf Mage. We were participating in a tournament together, and when I showed him my Ning-Ning, he's just like, "Oh, no effectiveness, free to play, shake my head." And I'm just like, okay, now I'm getting tempted. But either way, like if we're talking about her role, she's realistically, again, the ER not that important. Again, it's very aggressive, so like leaning it into like more effectiveness is great. If you don't have the gear to get the effectiveness, you could find it into more speed. So for example, like this one has like 14 speed. One of my old Ning-Nings was this one. Had a, I think it was like a flat defense ring. Yeah, it's like these are like kind of not that usable, but like this was what she was at. So my effectiveness was lower, but it was faster. But this kind of ruined my speed tuning with my flan and stuff. So I made her effectiveness just for the sake of it. But what I mean is, like, if you don't have the gear to get the effectiveness, having the extra imprint is nice. Although at this point, Giselle has been announced, and there's still a Karina coming. So I would not suggest anyone who is free to play to be pulling for an imprint. I'm just saying that this is still nice to have, right? Like I said, supportive aggro. If she has the SSS attack imprint release, very nice. Then she's a, you know, she can act for like the B-Dom, because B-Dom has the same attack release except a bit lower because of 4-star base. So stuff like that, right? DN has this as well. So overall, I'm not too disappointed pulling for a dupe, except I had to pity the dupe, so that was kind of salty. But in terms of the artifact, like I said, if you're just gonna cleave her like in a controllable fight in Arena or something like that, you don't need the Doctor's Bag, unless you foresee that you could get debuffed on turn 1, and it's a nice to have. But I would just probably run Warhorn. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this showcase. I'm gonna end this here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.